Hey guys, yes you. You asked for it and we're bringing it to the purple couch. Potty Training 101. Where do we go from here? How do we start? When's the right time to start? And what do we do? Let's get rid of those diapers. Today on the Purple Couch Podcast.
Welcome to Pam and the Purple Couch Podcast, hosted by Pamela Furr, with our co-hosts, Dr. Manny Rodriguez, Missy Owen, and Loki DiPristo. Together, we're going to dive deep into topics such as education, neurodiversity, autism, and applied behavioral analysis. Remember to click subscribe today so you don't miss out on any future episodes.
Hi, friends and family. Yep, we're back on the Purple Couch. And today's episode, well, we're talking about potty training. And Manny is already blushing a little here because he's got a house full of potty training going on. Missy just finished or is in the wrap-up of the potty training. And Loki and I, well, we're going to go flashback. Go back into the day of Loki's potty training and what worked, what didn't work. I know most of this is just going to be a flashback for you and not a true memory. So Mom's going to take and talk about you and your potty training.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really am going to have much to say here.
Okay.
But hopefully I could add at least a few decent comments.
Sounds good.
Have the Loki level be at a 1 out of 5. But
So guys, what does potty training look like and what does it look like in your house? Now, we're going to start out by letting everyone know that this is a personal preference in timing. Okay. From all of us here on the couch as clinicians and as educators, we can tell you that every child is going to be a little different. Mm-hmm. It's just like in their learning strategies. When it comes to potty training, not every child is ready at the same time. So if you have siblings and one potty trained at 1, does not mean that the sibling is going to potty train at 1. So let's first get rid of all those expectations. You cannot judge one child by the behavior and actions of another. And potty training is one of those things that we've all seen it through many, not just our own kids, but many kids. One of the things that Kaleidoscope Interventions does is a potty training course for the children. We help families when they have tried, not been successful, or just don't know where to go. We have a complete potty training protocol that we can put our families through. But I think, when we were pre-talking for this episode, Manny, you nailed it. It's, are you ready? Are you really ready for this commitment? Because this is not one of the things that adults, and when I say adults, because it's the caregiver, whoever is taking care of that child needs to be just as committed to potty training as the child.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. We have had children that we have spent a week-long intensive. I can tell you twins. Mm-hmm. Imagine that one. We had twins, week-long potty intensive training. By Friday, no accidents. We are doing it. They came in on Monday back in the pull-up. So you have to understand that all the work that was done, all the information, all the strategies, all the success of the child all went back down to square root baseline data because mom and dad just were not ready. Not the child. Mom and dad were not ready for the commitment of potty training. So as we talk in this episode on some tips and tricks and some strategies for your toolbox, please make sure you are committed to the potty training process. Now that we got that disclaimer, it's just like Loki with the autism disclaimer. I'm giving this out to all of our parents. It's very important because not all children are ready at the same time.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And each child may be a little different, So we're going to talk about our experience.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to tell you all, to give you some tips and tricks here, and then we'll go to each one of our homes.
Sure.
Loki, we were blessed because at the same time that around 13 months, his autism really was apparent, 13, 14 months. We were also blessed because at the 1-year mark, Loki was in a pull-up. So when I talk about potty training in our house, it was completely on a tailspin because for us, bowel movement, number 2, yes, we're going to talk about poo. I told you when we started this podcast, this would be one of our conversations. Bowel movements were easy for him. He wanted nothing to do with it. He didn't want to be dirty. And he understood that was messy, smelly, and dirty. So he was in a pull-up. They had little backyardigans. They had, the whole...
I'm sure you could find them that small.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness, yes. Oh, absolutely. They're still out there. You can still get them. Absolutely. Today, they're out on the market. You can go any of your shopping stores and you can find the early pull-ups. So he was in a pull-up. I can tell you, I can remember looking at the video from his first birthday and he was waddling around in his little pull-up. And we had underoos. Do y'all remember that back in the day? Underoos, dress up as Wonder Woman. You didn't know Elizabeth Taylor, so you didn't have the experience of underoos. It's all good.
It's the pinnacle, like grandma underwear that they call it, right?
Grandma underwear?
We're not talking about granny panties.
No, but they're huge.
We're talking about underoos.
Yeah, I know.
So you don't, underoos were dress-ups.
Oh.
No, you're not thinking of the
feel
same
like I
thing.
know what underoos are. I just don't know,
the only one who didn't know.
Okay, so
I was thinking of something else.
for us that were born in the 70s,
that was a
I think that is
DiPristo.
well, it wasn't even that. It's a 70s baby thing. If you were born in the 70s, they had a thing called underoos. And underoos were like the Fruit of the Loom, but they were for girls that you could pull up. And I had Wonder Woman, and you could have Batman, and it was, it was like dress up underwear for kids.
I wasn't far.
So you get what I'm saying. So that's where we're at. No, not the corpacolo or the apples and grapes and come out. Yeah, I know what you're talking about too. But going back, he had pull-ups on. And in the pull-up though, as soon as he would have a bowel movement, he would pull the pull-up down. And the worst thing we had to worry, he didn't care where he pulled it down. It was that I just did potty. I'm dropping. I don't want to be dirty.
I'm back in the legs.
Oh, he didn't. No, he was good. Unless it was a blowout bowel movement. Oh, yes, we're talking about blowout bowel movements here.
Oh.
He was great with the bowel movements. Now, I stress that because at the same time, it was until he was between 5 and 6 that we were able to master the urination. Now, the reason I bring this up is because parents, I'm telling you, because so many parents do not know this, and my goodness, I wish I could have. I'm going, okay, well, what's going on? He was so easy to potty train, and now all of a sudden, because it becomes an issue, getting them into a preschool, getting them into school. If the child isn't potty trained, they just don't even want to deal with the child. Many daycare, many preschools is that, nope, you're not potty trained yet, you're not ready yet. And I'm telling them, like, look, it's a sensory thing, it's a thing going on. Well, how did we do it? We found out that Loki's proprioceptive sensory issues, the diaper was the biggest problem. So what took us was Loki had to be naked all weekend long. This is the commitment we're talking about, because what we realized is that when he would dribble, like, oh, I got to pee, that sensation that we all get, when you start to feel those little muscles are moving. When he'd get that muscle movement, he didn't understand what was going on.
This is becoming an endurance test. I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm like trying to say I'm trying to resist going.
Well, I warned you ahead of time that this was going to be some personal information.
I know it's personal information, but listen. There's a difference between saying, "Oh yeah, no, he went to the bathroom and we had a little bit of difficulty with it," and then there's a difference between that and saying, "Oh yeah, no, his bowel movements were a little off and he had urinary issues." It's like trying to say like, oh yeah, no, he wasn't just a weird guy, but there was some issues with him that we needed to resolve, such as him puking on the floor.
We've all been there, we've all done that. And Loki, what we're talking about here is, and look, nobody wants to have these conversations. It's why we're having them.
You think?
I know, bud, but parents feel isolated. They feel isolated and alone when you go to school and you're told, nope, sorry, your kid's not potty trained. They can't come here yet.
Okay, wait, hold on. You didn't ever...
yes, that happened to you. Yes, indeed.
Kids can't come in if they're not potty trained?
Yes. Yeah,
so our school at Rockledge...
Our school does, though. We have a potty training program.
That's one of our schools that just have a potty training program. Why don't other...
Missy and I are fortunate because our daycares do the potty training at the daycare.
Yeah, but to move up to 3-year-old, you have to.
But once they have to do it by a certain age. Otherwise, they might either have to do a special program or they're going to get booted out.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting here... Sorry, this is finally the part of the podcast where Loki finally steps in.
There you go.
You're telling me that there are schools that are not willing to let kids who aren't potty trained in their school, and yet some parents don't even know how to potty train in the first place due to the lack of information available given to them?
Microphone drop. Yes, sir. And that's why we're having this conversation on the podcast.
So why isn't there any information in the first place? Because there either needs to be a restraint on what kids can or cannot be allowed in school if they're potty trained or diaper trained and whatnot, and the information that's actually given to them. Because has there ever been a situation where the parent actually asks, okay, so if I'm trying to potty train my student, what can I do? You're the teacher here.
So just so you know that this is the conundrum that we're in. This is the dilemma and why we have to talk about it here and why I'm giving so many personal details, because parents don't have access to this information readily.
Huh.
So going back into you and your story, and I'm going to give this to you because just between Manny and I's conversation, and he has a little boy right now, same type of situation. You've got to remember, though, is sometimes, especially as little boys, because you have external extremities, that when a little girl gets the inkling that she has to go pee, she gets, oh, I felt a little something down there. Okay, I got to go run and pee. Tinkle time. There, that's a great way to say it.
Yeah, and
for little boys, though, Loki, sometimes because diapers are so absorbent, the little boy is already peeing before he realizes he had to pee.
Yeah.
And that was the case with you. You would have a full meltdown once you realized you had peed.
Yeah, because I hated I hated walking in. And even still do, I hate it when I accidentally drip, like even during the bathroom, like when there's like a little bit of drop when I misfire sometimes, I feel like I'm being tortured.
Yes. So imagine as a little boy, though, as a 3-year-old, 2-year-old, so that's the things that parents, we need you to understand is this could be a sensory issue. Yep. Now, for your case, and I'm going to give you my tips and tricks in this, and then we're going to go to Manny and we're going to go to Missy because everyone's experience is a little different. For Loki, once we realized, okay, this is a sensory issue, we dedicated an entire weekend. Nope, not leaving the house. And this is the dedication that parents you need to commit to when you're ready for potty training. It was naked weekend for Loki. What does that mean? Nope, no diaper for him. He'd have his little t-shirt on and yep, there we go. Little butt cheeks running through the house. Why? Because he needed to learn what the sensation was. Get the carpet shampooer ready, get whatever you've got to do, but you've got to be prepared. Again, just like we've talked about it before, it's being prepared for what you're putting your child into. Yeah. At that time, we were all ready, okay? And this was an all weekend thing. This wasn't just a Friday. No, this was, here we go. We're committing all weekend long. What I can tell you is by the end of the weekend, Loki was potty trained. Now, does that mean that I cleaned up little puddles on the floor? Absolutely. But I also had to desensitize the toilet to him because there would be times when he'd get a little tiny bit of that misfire and run to the bathroom, but then there would be nothing. Well, guess what? We would make him sit. Now, how do you make a toddler, especially someone that has ADHD, ADD, or autism, sit on the toilet? So you make the bathroom their room. Now, how do you do that? Loki's jam at that time was Mario.
Yeah.
Anything that had to do with Mario, Luigi, Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, anything like that. So I went and bought magazines, all of the Nintendo Informers I could get my hands on. I ripped up every page and I made my own Nintendo wallpaper.
Yeah.
So the bathroom where the toilet set in and every place around it was always something that he enjoyed. So then it wasn't so isolating.
A comfort space.
Yes, that's exactly.
You had to make it a comfort space to make sure that I felt comfortable in the first place, even being there.
Yes.
Because being in a blank white room with only a toilet is kind of scary.
Yes. Yes. Now, do you hear that, parents? He's 19 and he's explaining to you that at a toddler, the toilet can be an experience. Think about it. Bodily fluids are going in and then we flush and where do they go? So
what happens if I stick my head in there?
Well, no, there are those questions because a lot of times neurodivergent children, that's all it is. Okay, you tell me that's what happens. I flush, it's done, we move on. Not the case with many of our neurodivergent students. They're going to ask questions. Well, where does it go? And what happens when I flush? And where is that stuff coming from? And what is that stuff? And they explore. Now, Loki wasn't a fecal smearer.
Yes, no.
So I acknowledge that so you don't feel ashamed, embarrassed, or anything on that. But many of our children are. Why? Because they want to know what is going on down there. So have those conversations. Guys, girls, give them a mirror. Let them explore and understand what's down there. Otherwise, it can be scary. Even at a young age, it's their body parts. So do not take and do body shaming. Allow the child to become comfortable with their body, even at such an early age. So it's very important that this becomes a smooth process and not a scary process. We've all seen, meaning not Loki, but the clinicians here, parents that have tried potty training way too early. The child wasn't ready. The child actually was terrified. We've had situations where medical assistance was needed because a child got impacted because they held because they were too afraid to go to the bathroom. So you've got to make sure that no matter which steps that you take, that this is in a very eased, very family. We're doing this together because you don't want the little sister to come in the middle of potty training and be like, ew, that's so gross, you're nasty. Because it does happen. But that child, the sibling, is going to think, oh, maybe what I am doing is nasty. Maybe what I am doing, so they have those things. So that was Loki and I's experience, and that is how we worked through it. Okay? Manny, want to tell me about how your life is going in Toddler Central right now?
So to preface this, so they're 3 years old now, the twins, boy and girl. And I'm going to disclaim this by kind of the philosophy that we use at the house, which is we go at their pace and we make sure that they are happy, relaxed, and engaged.
Very nice.
So now part of this is predicated to the first experience of trying this with them, that they hadn't started yet at the daycare. The daycare that we go to for them does do potty training.
Very nice.
But they hadn't started yet. So we were like, oh, maybe we'll introduce the potty, to them. And they had not a great experience with it. They were not ready. And to the point where the young girl, Viviana, the sound of the toilet flushing was a big problem. And then for him, he just wanted nothing to do with it. He might as well have just like held himself against the door. He didn't want to do it. So we were like, no, they're not ready. So we waited some time, and then the daycare decided, hey, we're going to start introducing the potty training. Girl, no problem. She was ready. No big deal. So she's in underwear right now at 3 years old. So we did the whole from diapers to pull-ups, and then pull-ups to, they're called training underwear.
Okay.
They're a little bit more cushion, but they're still underwear. The boy, not so much. So he, apparently at the daycare, he sometimes will go potty. Sometimes he'll sit. Sometimes he won't. Sometimes he'll look at the potty and say, nope, turn around. He won't sit for one teacher. He'll sit for another teacher. And so we're trying to dissect it all. And what we realize is that, he's not, to use this term, he's not happy, relaxed, engaged going to the potty. He's not into it. So we weren't ready as parents. We said, okay, we're going to give it a shot. So we did a weekend with just underwear, and he had accident after accident. And he fought going to the bathroom and stuff like that. So it was just not worth the fight, where his sister, same age, out of the womb, same time, she's like, I need to go potty. And we're racing down the hall to go to the potty. And she's doing both number 1 and number 2. She's peeing.
Very nice.
So for us, I think my tip and trick for families, and we do this a lot in our clinical practice too, is it's like you said earlier, the parents have to be ready. We're always ready as clinicians. We will go, we'll do it. Yeah. And, but one of the things that we do in our clinical practice, I do at home too with the young girl. One, they're ready. They're showing they're ready. They're showing all the signs they're ready. They're kind of excited to be ready.
Well, real quick, before you do that. What are those signs? Because we want to let some of our families know what are some of these signs to be looking for when you know that a child is ready to potty train.
Yeah. So, for example, I find that, well, I'll just use the little girl because little boy is not so much. But a little girl, she realizes that she don't feel right. She also started taking off her pull-up, getting ready to get off because she was soiled. And then when she used the word potty, she was like, potty. I want potty. So there was those kind of things. And then I think the biggest sign for us was early on, we tried to introduce it and she didn't like the flushing sound. Now it doesn't bother her.
Yeah.
She doesn't like touching the flushing thing. She wants somebody else to do it.
Gotcha.
But we'll get there. So those were our early signs. I think some other kids, they have different signs. Like some other kids, like they'll touch their butt, you know, or they'll like go underneath, they'll go in the pants or whatever because they feel it's weird. Some do the whole like scooting in the chair, you know, stuff like that. So I see that a lot with the kids in the
pulling on the pulling on anything in that area.
It's just
anything in that area. Something's going on there.
And I know that like when we talk to our parents in the clinical practice, we say, hey, Junior is showing some early signs, right? Are you ready?
Yes.
And some of the parents, especially some of the younger parents, unfortunately, if I have to stereotype, they're just not ready, because when we're ready, when we tell them, if you're ready, it's underwear all day long.
Yep.
Get rid of the diapers altogether and be ready for accidents, right? Mm-hmm. So in my case at home, Viviana was super ready and she's been doing great. Junior's not ready. So we're not ready to push him because we don't want to make it a negative experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love that, because this is exactly what we were talking about. He's got twins, born on the same day, minutes apart from each other, but yet one is developmentally ready and the other one's just not ready yet. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean it's wrong. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with him. Right. It just means he's not ready yet. And that's very key, especially when we started this, because you can't. We have so many parents. Well, his sister was doing this at this time and he's not doing this. And okay, well, they're not, identical clones of each other. We don't want that. Again, we're talking about school system building robots. We don't want the same thing for the same child. We want them to be unique. We want them to be individual. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I love that. And again, I think your tuning in on that is so important, not just from you as a clinician, but also as a parent that has 5 kids, guys. So he's been through this. He has experience and he's dealing with it even now on the daily. And it's, again, understanding that every child is developing at their pace and to make sure that this is a pleasurable experience and that you're not pushing something ahead of time.
And just to underscore that, like, pleasurable for both parties, because if the parents or the caregivers are not happy, relaxed, engaged in this process, you're probably frustrated, you're probably exhausted.
That's a great point.
You're probably angry, you're probably feeling all sorts of emotions for something that honestly should be a pleasurable experience for everybody.
You made a good point on that. Parents that, look, let's be real, okay? I'm just going to put it out there, because you may be thinking it while you're driving, listening to the podcast, or if you're watching this from home. Oh my gosh, how many times have what is this? Oh my gosh, and here I am. Now, do you see all these things? You've raised your voice. The child knows you're upset. What do you think that's going to do? That's going to cause a shutdown. Yeah. So acknowledging those things, and that's when Manny is saying that you're both ready.
Don't treat the child like a pet.
Oh, that's a really good one. Yeah. I really like that one. Yeah. Well, on that notion, if you're really getting some information from today's episode, we would love to have you go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. If you know friends or families that could gain benefit from this knowledge, please like, subscribe, and share. It allows us to continue with these podcasts, and we're so looking forward to season 3 as we prepare for our professional interviews coming to the podcast. We want to give parents information and access that may not be readily available in their location. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Missy, that brings you to you. I know, sounds like you got the benefit of all this. I mean, she's the envious mama over here, but I'm just going to give her a little more credit. She's also a very, very well-trained and wonderful BCBA. And so, remember, it's learned environment. So I want to give you some kudos on that one too, because remember, that's your and your husband's interaction with her on the daily as well. So would you like to tell our parents about your wonderful little Raylan?
Yes. So my story definitely kind of mirrors Manny's with Viviana. Sorry.
That's okay.
We really didn't have to try.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, we
can't
really
clap,
have to try. I don't remember if we started at home first or daycare did, or if it's the same time. I don't remember how it started. Mm-hmm. But I know at daycare, they started it up, and we always just had a little toilet that I think my mother-in-law got for Ray. So we would just sit in front of the TV. So happy, relaxed, and engaged when the TV's on. Mm-hmm. She'd sit there, go potty, And then
Yeah.
she was doing it now fully in undies. She'll be 3 in a couple
Do you
weeks.
hear that, parents? She brought the toilet to the child's relaxed environment. No pressure.
And also the TV.
Well, that's what I'm
TV's
saying.
super
There's
helpful.
think
Yeah.
about it. So the pressure was alleviated from the child.
Yes,
Mhm.
because it was in their
therefore,
comfort space.
Here I am. I'm in the toilet. I have to do it right here. It has
Yeah.
to be here. So what she's done is she took her to an environment like Manny. I'm relaxed. Oh, okay. It can come at my own pace. There was no pressure,
Yep.
no prerequisite that you've got to get this done. You need to potty right here. Pee in the potty now. So that's wonderful.
I
And
might do that with Junior.
that may be a
Yeah,
great
yeah,
idea.
good idea.
And it's cool because they look like a little mini toilet. And has like a little handle you can flush
Yeah.
and makes a little sound.
It's a great, the mini, because then
Mm-hmm.
think about it. Viviana
Yeah.
can come in and click the flusher
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
And then it would be
we have the toilet.
desensitizing.
We have the little toilet.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Yeah.
Even on the purple couch, we find
Yeah.
tips and tricks to add to our toolbox. So guys, today what I really wanted to bring home to all of you is that every child is individual. Every experience in potty training, though necessary, and the reason we want to talk about necessary is because I have a lot of older kids that come into our transitional living academy and they're still not potty trained. And to that's a deficit to that child. So parents, if you do need help, if you need support, if you feel like you're doing this alone, reach out to us at info@PamelaFurr.com. That's PAMELAFURR.com. Why? Because we do have a team here that can reach out to you. We can give you support so that you don't have to do this alone. So many children, young adults, teenagers with disabilities cannot engage with their peers because this part of the process was never done.
Yeah.
Don't feel that it can't happen. There are resources, there are support systems, and we can help you bring that child up to level, at least into the personal hygiene area where you're not so limited. So guys, from our couch to yours, we'll see you next time on Pam and the Purple Couch Podcast.